This show is produced by the Harwood Podcast Network.
Hi, I'm Cindy Harris, and we love making this show available to you free of charge. If you'd like to help us keep it that way, make a contribution to our Karma Jar or become a show sponsor. To learn more, visit our website. Today I'm making a batch of peanut butter sandwich cookies. These are a great cookie. They're two soft peanut butter cookies sandwiched between a light peanut butter filling. And then if you want, you can dip some of them in some semi-sweet chocolate. We're going to start by making our cookies, and for these cookies we're going to use two kinds of sugar. We're going to use a white sugar and a brown sugar. So in my mixing bowl I'm going to start by adding 1 1/4 cups of white sugar and 1 1/4 cups of brown sugar. Now it's important with the brown sugar that you pack it into the cup. So you can see here I have a little scoop, and I scoop it out and then I press it down lightly into my cup until it fills up. And then I'll put that in my mixer with the white sugar. And I'm going to turn my mixer on low and let those sugars mix together. Next I have a cup of butter, and I'm going to take each of the cubes and I'm going to cut them in half lengthwise twice and then run my knife through it to make some little cubes like this, and I find that really helps them cream nicely in the mixer. Then once I see that the brown and the white sugar is pretty well mixed up, I'm going to take all of my butter cubes and I'm going to pop them in the mixer. I'm going to again turn this on a low speed. What I want to do is make a paste out of these sugars and butter. Now you can see how thick the mixture is. It's not light and fluffy. So at this point I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to add 3 eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and a cup of peanut butter. Now whenever I'm measuring out something that's really sticky like peanut butter, I like to use this adjustable cup. And all I do then is I put in that I need 1 cup, I slide the marker till it says 1 cup. I fill this up with peanut butter right to the top. Then I bring it over to the mixer and then I just press the plunger and out comes all of the peanut butter, and I just scrape that off, and you can see it really makes it easy. And then once again I turn the mixer on low. And I just let this mix until everything comes together. This is not a light and fluffy cookie, so if I were to put it on anything other than a low speed, I would start to get a lot of air in it and they would make them really kind of light and airy, and I don't want that. So again, just on low speed until I see everything kind of comes together. Now comes our dry ingredients. So I'm going to lighten up my flour by stirring it up with a knife in my canister. And I'm going to dip and level out 2 cups of flour. And I'm going to be mixing my dry ingredients in this medium-sized bowl here. Then to my flour, I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then I want to add a 1/2 cup of finely chopped peanuts. Now, I have one of these little chopper things, and I don't use it all that often, but if you have one, this is a great time to use it. Peanuts are so tiny and round that when you're chopping them with a knife, they can kind of roll all over the place. But with one of these choppers, you just put some in the bottom and you press this up and down. And it starts to chop up the nuts really nicely. Now for these cookies, I want them to be pretty fine. There, that's how fine I want these to be. And I'm going to measure out a 1/2 cup of those finely chopped nuts and add that to my flour. Now these choppers are great if you have young kids around. When my son was younger, he wanted to help me in the kitchen, but he was too young to have a knife in his hand. So you can have them chop up nuts or little bits of onions or bell peppers or anything like that, and it's totally safe for their hands. And with my little whisk, I'm going to mix all of those dry ingredients together. I want to make sure that the soda and the salt and that little bit of peanut gets mixed all through the flour. And now I bring it over to my mixer, and I'm going to take the whole bowl and pour it right in, and then a low speed. We want to mix this just until everything comes together. Now, once the majority of the ingredients are mixed together, there may still be a little bit of flour on the sides, so I'm going to scrape that down, and then again, just put it on a low speed for just a couple of seconds. And then just one more mix down to make sure that everything is together. Now you can see this is a really thick cookie dough. It almost looks like a bunch of peanut butter, but if you give it a little taste, it's got this perfect balance of salt and sweet. It's really good. Now it's time to bake. So I have my cookie sheet. I have a piece of parchment. Now, sandwich cookies are meant to be smaller. They're not made to be giant. So I have my small cookie scoop today, and I'm going to go through and get little scoops of the cookie and place them right on the cookie sheet. Now remember, for each sandwich you need 2 cookies. And with this great filling we're going to be putting in the center, you really don't need these cookies to be very big to pack a really big flavor. Now, I've preheated the oven to 350 degrees, and these are going to bake for about 11 minutes. Now, as we get these out of the oven, we want to get them right off the cookie sheet onto the cooling rack, and you can see they have just the nicest little bit of light brown on the edges. And now I'm going to just let these cool. Our cookies are baked and cooled, so now it's time to make our filling. So in my mixer, I'm using my whisk attachment, and I'm going to cream up a half a cup of butter till it's nice and fluffy. Then I have a half a cup of creamy peanut butter, and I'm going to put that in, and then I'm going to cream it until it's fluffy with the butter. And then after a minute or so, I am going to stop the mixer and scrape the bowl down and let it whip for another minute or so. Now when the peanut butter and the butter are nice and light, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar, a tablespoon of milk, and half a teaspoon of vanilla. And this is going to mix together on high speed for about 5 minutes, but I will stop it about halfway through and scrape down the bowl. And when it's done, you can see just how light and fluffy that peanut butter filling is. Now I like to take the filling out of the bowl, the big mixing bowl, and put it into a smaller bowl. I find that it's just a little easier to deal with. Now I've got some of my cooled cookies. Let's go ahead and put these together. And now we'll just take one of our cookies, and I just take, maybe a teaspoon or a teaspoon and a half of the filling, put it right in the center, and then I'll take a second cookie, put it on top, and then I'll just give it a little press because I want to see that filling right here. And then I'm just going to put it back on my parchment and keep filling. Now these sandwich cookies are incredible just by themselves, but if you want to do something a little different, what you can do is take some semi-sweet chocolate chips and put them in a small but deep dish, kind of like this little custard cup, and put it in the microwave on 30-second bursts. And then what you can do is take one of your cookies, and we're just going to dip half of it in the chocolate. So I'm just going to take it, hold it parallel like this, dip it down till it touches the bottom, and bring it up, give it a little roll like that, and then just set it on my parchment to let it dry. Now you can let the chocolate dry at room temperature. It'll take maybe a half an hour or so, or if you want to set it up a little quicker, you can take them and put them in the refrigerator. Now I also wanted to let you know that these cookies freeze really well. So all you have to do is pop them into some kind of freezer container. You could even wrap them individually if you wanted in plastic wrap and then put them in the freezer, and they'll last for a few months. Now if you'd like to give these peanut butter sandwich cookies a try at home, just go to our website and visit the cookie jar show notes, and I'll have the recipe there for you. And as always, if you have any questions, please send me an email. See you next time.